Switch to the webcam only view. Hello, and thanks for tuning in for another nightly stream with Patrick Miller. I still don't really have a name for this thing yet, but that's cool. So lately, I've been posting in the NeoGAF like kind of fighting game newbie thread, and you know, like chatting with new players on Twitter. A lot of people will come and talk to me because they read the book or they know that I'm kind of really interested in teaching fighting games. And some people have sent me replays that they ask that I watch and offer feedback and provide tips and that kind of thing. So I thought that'd be a pretty cool thing to do on the stream. I'm a huge fan of the Day 9 Daily. If you've ever played StarCraft and you watched the Day 9 Daily, like a lot of his stuff has been super inspirational for me in terms of figuring out what I can do to kind of help people level up and build a culture of learning around fighting games. So if you haven't watched the Day 9 Daily, the core of the show is basically watching replays and using them as teaching tools, which I think is really cool. And fighting game replay support is still not that great, but some people have started recording their matches and posting them on YouTube or whatever, so I figured I'd go through some of them and just kind of offer some tips. And for the most part, the level of ability that we're looking at is not the highest, right? So it's basically the three people who submitted replays are kind of in the realm of like enthusiastic newbie-ish, and that's a good place to be for us because I think it's easier to point out some of the mistakes and points of improvement that are relevant for all of us. Like I was watching some of these clips earlier to try and prepare for tonight's show, and I was thinking, well, some of the mistakes that they're making are the same mistakes that I make. They just make it more often. And so I think it'll be a really useful tool for me as well in terms of learning. And I hope it's useful for you too, even if you're like super great at these games. Okay? I have this handy dandy button here. It's Ryu, and it presses, when I press the button, it makes a sound. This is the coolest thing ever. Okay, so we'll jump straight into the first replay. We have a Gen versus Chun-Li online match in Ultra Street Fighter 4. This replay comes courtesy of Nina Freeman, aka Scrubly. So we'll go ahead and pull that up. Sweet. So she is a relatively new Chun player going into this matchup against a Gen, who it looks like has significantly more experience. She does all right, but I figure we can go through and kind of point out some of the things that she should be working on. Let me just fix my notes here real quick. Great. So what we'll do is we'll watch through the matches once, and then we'll watch through it again real quick, and I'll stop and point things out. Maybe that doesn't make sense. Maybe I should just stop and point things. Oh, we'll watch it through one round first. It's short. It's like 3 minutes.
You ready for this?
It's the battle of the century. Fight! First hit, the scales have tipped. The one we've been waiting for. The ultimate battle for supremacy has...
So if you look at the PP and BP difference between these two players, like that early exchange is actually pretty good, right? It's like a solid back and forth. Kind of just got hit walking in with those two stand jabs, and she's lucky she didn't get hit by more. Also, shout out to the African princess like banner thing. That's awesome. Oof. Yeah, dealing with Gen's cross-ups and his air mix-ups can be pretty tricky. I have problems with that myself.
This was supposed to be a fight to the death.
Damn, Gen.
What will happen
Gen's
now?
like disappointed.
Fight!
Whew.
A devastating attack. There's no stopping this one.
Still got a little bit of a fairly even footsie exchange. Not much in the way of anti-airs from either player. Ooh, nice slaps.
Is it the end?
Whew. Alright, we got some good blocking going on there. Nice patience. Got out of the corner. That's good.
It doesn't Doesn't get any more intense than this.
Ooh, now they're just getting slapped in the face.
Can't believe it. KO.
Alright, took the round.
I guess all my training paid off, huh?
Pull out all the stuff. Fight.
I don't think I've ever really heard the English voices for this.
The first hit has been recorded.
Alright, interesting throw. And that's the money combo. Wow.
No.
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from?
Fireworks.
Alright, yeah, at this point it's kind of it's tough. Alright. Okay, so now we're going to watch it again. This time we're going to pause at a few points that I picked out and see if we can identify some specific points of improvement. Alright.
You ready for this?
It's the battle of the century. Fight. First hit. This
So that right there, that first couple seconds is pretty much textbook Chun-Li, right? You're keeping, you know, the range of your pokes, which is good, but that is the first time, like, he jumps pretty early on and you don't hit it at all. It doesn't even look like you don't anti-air him, and there you had an opportunity there. I think I don't know this matchup super well, but I believe crouch roundhouse probably would have worked there. In any case, you kind of let him close the gap for free, and that's not something you ever want to do, right? Now that was kind of a gamble on his part jumping in so early, but this is a test, right? He's testing you to see if you're going to anti-air him at certain ranges or if it's something that's on your mind consistently, right? If you anti-air me at the very beginning of the round, if I jump quickly and you just smack me down, that's going to scare the shit out of me. I'm not going to want to jump in again, but you didn't, and so now he knows this, right? So just I want to keep a running tally of every possible anti-air opportunity that you missed, because that's an easy thing to look at and improve in your game. We'll keep going. Got some pretty much like footsies are okay. You hit a nice Hazanshu, got a nice neutral jump H in there, so you're just kind of trading back and forth. That walk-up throw came from pretty far. If you just rewind a little bit, so you got hit. Yeah, you held forward for probably a good solid second on the stick, and then you went for a grab. You walked about maybe 1/4 or 1/5 of the screen length, right, or like a single screen length. You got it, which is great, but you should treat that as a risk and as a gamble and not as integral part of your footsies game. Because if you had pressed any button within that period, you would have eaten it. Oof. So yeah, right there, it looked like you might have tried to go for like a dash throw and it didn't work out and you just got slapped in the face. You're lucky that it didn't get converted into damage, because it probably should have. Solid footsies over there. He had the cross-up jump. You want to watch out for that spacing, certainly. Nice mini cross-up. Ooh, you let the lightning legs rock a little bit too long, and he jumps at you at that range again, right? So before we get into that last segment, let's just replay the last, like, 15 seconds again. Alright, let's rewind a little bit further than that. Boom. So that's one jump that crosses you up. Good thing you didn't get hit, but he got in for free. And then he actually gets a hit on top of it. And then there's another jump. So in those situations at that range, I don't know if any of Chun-Li's standing normals are good. You might have been able to get away with a neutral jump roundhouse. Would have been good. But like fundamentally, even if you can't beat the jump, you need to know that he's going to do it and you need to deal with something, right? So he's jumping in not just for the damage from the jump in, but to close the gap. He wants to get in on you. And if you can be backdashing or anything else to just not let him get what he wants from that, I'd say definitely do it. This is tricky though, because once you get anti-aired, you're trying to do stuff, and this is kind of the wrong time. That's what loses you the round, right? So if we go back to the beginning of that exchange, it was here you get the knockdown, fine. You get the cross up, you don't get anything out, you let it rock a little bit longer, and then you eat the cross and you get knocked down. So here, when you get knocked down, this is the beginning of the end of this round, right? You end up losing all your health, all this like 40% chunk of your health, based off of the next like 5 seconds or whatever, right? But you have a lead. You're knocked down, but you have a lead, right? You should be thinking, okay, I still have like room to breathe, right? I can eat a mix-up, and unless it's like a clean combo into Ultra, you're probably okay. But you backdash and you get knocked down again. And then you got crossed up and knocked down again. Nice blocks, but now you're pressing buttons. You ate 3 counter hits there. That means you're pressing at least 3 buttons in that exchange. Like, at that point, you should have been blocking, right? Just block. You don't have to backdash. You don't have to press buttons. Just block. Yeah. For one, this Gen player has not been throwing you that much yet, and you want to give him like if he's coming in with a bunch of attacks, you want to make him throw and at least demonstrate that he is willing to throw. Because if he's not, then you can just get out of that for free. Basically, just wait until he pushes himself away, and you can reset the neutral, right? And you have plenty of health to eat a few throws. I understand that blocking is scary, and that you want to feel like doing stuff other than blocking, but sometimes blocking is a really good idea, especially when you have the health lead. So block more. That's the big takeaway from round 1.
This was supposed to be a fight to the death.
This was supposed to be a fight to the death. Alright, we're whiffing some heavy pokes here. You do a good job slapping in the face, but you eat another cross-up jump in, and it's from the same range that he's been doing it at. Another free jump. So at this point, there's probably like a solid 3 jumps that you could have anti-aired, but you haven't yet. Another back and forth. This time you get you get knocked down. That's actually one thing that's worth pointing out as well, is that a lot of his footsies, Gen's footsies in this game, is based around. Well, he knocks you down and then he gets to set up mix-ups. And a lot of your footsies right now aren't really giving you knockdown into mix-up opportunities. Some of that is how Chun plays, right? Like some of her standing pokes are really, really good. But you do also want to fish for more knockdowns, because that's a hit that you can convert into more damage. Still, you build up a lead with some good footsies, and you get thrown. It's not the worst thing in the world. But then you eat the jump in and you get knocked down, and that is bad, right? So we'll rewind and look at this chunk again. Eating a throw is, what, like 8% of your health or something? Like, it's not that big a deal, right? Especially when you have the lead. The worst part about eating a throw is the knockdown. But if you're willing to block, again, after that jump in or whatever, if you're willing to block, then the worst that happens is you eat another throw, and it really isn't that bad. So you get thrown. It's not the end of the world, but that is worse. And now you're in the corner, right? This call is also really strange here, right? So the Gen player goes in for a cross up in the corner, right? And he jumps early, so you actually have the chance to throw him. But I'm a little curious as to why you went for a wake up throw, because frankly, he hasn't been throwing you that much, and he hasn't been throwing you immediately after a knockdown that much. Normally what he's doing is setting up the throw with a jump in or something like that. So there's no real reason to wake up throw here, and then you can eat a lot of shit if you go for wake up throw and they make you, and they predict it, and you get into like you eat a standing fierce or something. Mikey, aka Crack Prawn, is also pointing out that you're pressing buttons when Gen has the advantage, and the buttons that you're pressing aren't really the right buttons to be pressing, and you shouldn't be pressing buttons like when they're coming in on you that hard, right? So the crouch strong and the crouch fierce is a little gratuitous.
Is it the end?
All right, good corner pressure. That EX overhead was kind of rough. It put you in the corner. It wasted your meter, and it got him out of the corner. That's not the best. You need to know the spacing on that stuff. That was another free jump in. Put you in the corner. This is kind of good. You're starting to block. You press a button there that you probably weren't supposed to press, but overall, you're not taking too much damage, and you're doing a great job blocking here. You actually get out, right? That's fantastic. That's why you want to be blocking more. Ooh. That was rough. If I had to guess, you're probably going for the walk-up throw that you've gone for in the past, right? And it worked in the past, but again, you need to treat it as a gamble, right? So you go You're here, you fire the Hikoken, kind of dancing back and forth. You're walking for a long time to get that throw, and there's plenty of time to smack you in the face for it, right? You actually ate a pretty solid combo there, and really the way you want to be thinking of it is if you have to walk for a throw, it should only be like a couple frames, right? You want, like, maybe if you're right next to them and you want to make them block a little bit, so you hit like crouch jab, that pushes you a little bit out of throw reach, so you go ahead and just walk forward a little bit and throw. But you don't want to hold forward and throw. That's no bueno. Yeah. It's a little dicey that you didn't get the first one, the first chip kill, but, you know, it's not the worst.
My training paid off, huh?
Pull out all the stops. Fight! The first hit has been recorded.
Oof, yeah, some more jump-ins. At this point, you haven't really successfully anti-aired him that much. He's free to jump on you whenever he wants. You do get the Zanshu, which is nice. And you punch him for the focus attack. You get a nice knockdown. Again, and this is a notable pattern, you have the lead, right? You're beating him pretty significantly. You've got like a 35% health advantage. You went for that throw again. At least I think it's that throw, because I can't think of any other reason why you get hit by a crouched short, I think it was. You can, let's rewind that and look at that again. So you get that, you get the Zanshu, you punish the focus, it's great, you get the knockdown, and then he just gets to do like a wake up crouch short, which is no good, right? Like, there's no reason why you should be losing to a wake up crouch short. I'm guessing you're trying to go for a grab, and honestly, like, it's not the best idea, right? What you risk, especially because he has full super and a charged ultra, for getting beaten up with that grab is not worth it. And then you press buttons again, right? So he doesn't actually get that first combo. You get the he misses the combo, but then you press the button, he gets hit anyway. And this is kind of where you lose, right? Blank. Yeah, and then after that, like, he took away the gray life with that jump in. It's something you could have blocked. It's tricky, like, you need to know how to block the cross ups, but you could have blocked. And then, yeah, you're kind of done. So certainly is a useful replay for looking at. I'm glad you sent it. In general, I think if people send replays where they're losing, it's much easier to identify the flaws and fix them, right? So just to switch back to the webcam view for a second. Overall, like, let's see, Nina or Scrubly, whatever you want to go as. Overall, it felt like you have the right idea behind Chun, right? You're doing a good job walking back and forth, mixing up the ranges, pressing buttons. You probably want to get a little bit more specific with which buttons you're pressing. And this is where my gap of knowledge shows. Like, I'm not sure what Chun's great buttons are. I know I kind of like her stand roundhouse, but it's a big ass swing. I like her stand fierce a lot, and her crouch roundhouse are good. But I think her stand medium punch is good too. But I mostly played her in like ST and CVS2 and whatever, right? So in general, her crouch strong in Street Fighter 4 is not great. So you should probably not do it so much, right? But like overall, good grasp of the play pattern, right? It looks like you're watching people who play Chun-Li, and you're like, okay, this is what a good Chun-Li looks like. You just need to fine-tune the stuff, right? And part of that is watching your mindset. So like when you're getting jumped in on and you want to do something, right? Or you're getting attacked and you want to press buttons, don't do that. Just you need to work on blocking first, right? And you can think of that as a test. You can think of it as you messed up and you allowed the person to get in on you. Maybe they knocked you down or threw you or whatever. Now they're at the point where they're looking for some solid damage, and you don't want to let them get that. So the easiest way to not let them get that is just to block. Work on your blocking. If you can block their stuff for 5 seconds, that's pretty good. And if they start throwing you before then you've started mixing things up for them, right? A throw, fundamentally, what you're doing with a throw is you're trading in the opportunity for big damage, unless you're like a Zangief and you're going for his ultra or whatever. You're trading in the opportunity for big damage for smaller, more likely damage that then gives you another setup to try it again, right? So it's if you're getting thrown, that means you're actually doing a good job deflecting a lot of other bigger damage. But you didn't do that. Instead, you didn't block nearly enough in this match, except for that one part where you're in the corner. In general, you weren't blocking enough. And so Gen didn't have to throw you. He was just he was just able to get his damage from you pressing buttons and you not blocking, right? So the biggest thing that you can work on is just your blocking and your patience. And it's hard, right? Actually blocking a character's attacks is not too bad. But the problem is that the longer you block their stuff, and it can feel like you can block 4 attacks and you'd be like, oh, I've been blocking forever, right? But the longer you block your opponent's stuff, the more stressed out you'll feel. The more you feel like, I'm losing this match, I'm getting attacked, I got to do something. And that is how you eat bigger damage. Getting thrown is whatever. Make him throw you 4 or 5 times in a row, right? That is the same amount of damage as a big combo that you would have eaten by fucking up once, right? Just block more. So another thing that Nina brings up when she submitted the replay is she asks a question, which is, quote, I have trouble pulling off my ultra outside a combo. Anytime I have my ultra and I have back and medium kick, I'm trying to bait for an ultra. How can I can only reliably hit my ultra out of 2 or 3 combos. How can I use Kikosho in a more freeform manner to get some W's? Well, Kikosho isn't really great for utility, right? It's not great as a move that you just hit on its own. It's a move that's powerful because it should be pretty easy for you to connect it, right? At least when you compare Street Fighter 4, like Vanilla 4 Chun to, I think they implemented the secondary Ultra in Super, right? The main thing that Chun got from Kikosho is the ability to consistently combo into Ultras in mid-screen. I believe the combo is 1 low short, 2 low short, 3 low shorts into EX legs. That's a combo that leads to Ultra. Lil Shoto made a song about it, so we're going to go ahead and pull that up. We got the deep cuts over here. Legs.
2 low shorts into
EX legs.
3 low shorts into
EX legs.
and combo that
Ends in Ultra.
this girl.
Alright, that's enough of the song. It's excellent. I'm gonna paste the link in chat and I will put it in the YouTube description. Shout outs to, let's see, I think, yeah, this showed up on I Play Winner back in the day, and this was actually for Vanilla. So this was Chun's old combo. It's the corner combo into her Ultra 1. But obviously, you can also do it, I'm pretty sure, in Street Fighter 4, that's like her B&B. You kind of have to be able to do that if you want to play Chun, right? If you play any character, you need a consistent way of landing their Ultra. And with Chun, the way Kikosho is designed, you're supposed to land it in a combo. So the first thing that I suggested you do to level up is to block, right? Block like a whole lot more. Second thing is probably focus on your anti-air game. But the third thing is, just before you go online, every time you sit down and play Street Fighter, just sit down and practice a combo into EX legs into Kikosho. The best one you want to go for is probably the low shorts and EX legs. I'm sure there are tutorials out there on YouTube that'll help you do it. But if you can't consistently combo into Ultra, then you aren't playing that character at anything close to their full potential, and that's no good. Right? Like when Street Fighter 4 came out and all of us were trying to figure out how to play this game, the number one thing that everyone had to learn was how to combo into Ultra. If you don't have that, then a huge chunk of your game is gone, because then you're relying on basically Wake Up Ultra or like random Ultras, just like where you're intercepting some poke and you're super godlike, and that's probably not going to happen. The way that Ultras work in this game is that their startup is so long that it's not easy to use them as a footsies tool or an anti-air or whatever, right? For the most part, they just need to be comboed into. And if you're going to be playing Chun and if you're going to be playing Kikosho, then you have to be able to do it. So like no like ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just sit down and do it. And it'll be hard. Maybe the first time you spend 20 minutes on it, you still can't do it, but eventually you'll get it, right? And in the process, you'll learn a lot more about kind of how she handles. And then once you start doing that, then you can start doing stuff like setting up that crouch short, right? Setting up that damage instead of trying to win off pokes. Like basically, if you're not able to consistently combo into your Ultra, then you're leaving about, I'd say, like 30% of their damage on the table every time, right? Because that's like 30% health that you can do off a crouch short. It's like the easiest move to land for Chun. It's a crouch short. So go and do that, and you will be better. That's just kind of what you have to do. We will go ahead and move on to the next replay. This one comes from Maria, aka Elfin Zengleaf. That's an interesting name. It's another relatively new player playing online against a DiCapri. So we'll go ahead and watch through this one, and then we'll offer some commentary. And the folks in chat are helping me out, so that's great. Thank you, Mikey and Wedge and Alex and Daniel. Danny, whatevs. Y'all godlike. Oh, I need to change the camera back. Y'all just watching me. This is hilarious. I do that all the time. I'm an asshole. Anyway, here we go. You didn't miss much. Woo! Alright. We going ham. We got wake up grab when they're at like outside sweep range. We got meaty lariats. Woo. It's kind of worth noting too that like just based off the battle points here, like there isn't a huge skill gap between these two players. So we're watching two players of roughly equal ability. Woo! Jumping meaty lariat, I like it. I don't actually like it. It's not great. But you took that round. Good job.
And the battle continues. Fight!
Woo! Yo, that's the classic. I didn't think this jump in was gonna hit, so I did a throw afterwards. Ooh. Otos. Alright, we got full screen ultra, that you lariat. Ooh. Wow, that invincibility landed for a long time. Woo.
I'm almost ready to call this one.
Yeah. Ooh, and the ultra.
Battle of endurance. Last one standing. Ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate street fighter. Zangief wins.
So, remember what I said about people sending in replays where they lose because it's easier to pick stuff out? I think there's a lot that we can look at there. We'll keep it pretty general, but there's a lot of stuff in there that's no bueno even if you won. And like, Maria, I'm glad you won that match, but I wouldn't take a whole lot in there as an example of stuff that you should continue to do. There's a lot of sloppy play in there. There's a lot of stuff that you're going to need to tighten up if you want to play Geef. And like, this is one of those things where almost when you're looking at your results, especially at this level of play, when you're playing against people who are roughly the same ability as you, it's hard to tell if what you're doing is actually good Street Fighter or not. It like based off of whether you win or lose. It's just well, yeah. Let's go into it a little bit. And yes, I paused on the DiCapri butt because that's the start of the match. Mikey, you're a pervert. Isn't she like 12 or something? Shoutouts to Mecha Zangief, though.
Let's get started. Fight!
Alright, so to start with, jumping a whole lot in neutral is not the best to do. Even if like you jumped around a whole lot before you were in range to get anti-aired, but I wouldn't recommend it because then you end up moving around in very large increments, and you want to be moving in much, much smaller increments. right? Like if you're taking big steps everywhere, like you can kind of imagine if you watch like boxers or like the UFC or anything, when you watch people fight, they tend to move in small movements up until they want to explode and do something. And when you're moving around like this, you're kind of telegraphing your movement a whole bunch. So that's number one. Alright. Then you went super ham trying to get in. So you eat a couple shots, you get knocked down, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm a green hand twice, and then running bear grab. That's really aggressive. That's like really aggressive. So Geef is a character that tends to reward patience. Basically, the more, oh man, and just as an aside, I like that I paused on DiCaprio suplexing Zangief because that looks awesome. But yeah, Geef is a character that rewards players who are patient and then kind of turn on the aggression at just the right moments. And when you're pretty much full screen from the opponent or like 2/3 screen away, that's not the right moment to be that aggressive. I am impressed that you did 2 green hands in a row even when the first one got punished. I wouldn't recommend that very often, certainly. And then running bear grab, like not even an EX running bear grab, but just straight running bear grab from roughly a 1/3 screen distance, like anyone can see that a mile away, jump up, and just punish the shit out of it. So don't do that. I wouldn't recommend doing a lariat when you've knocked them down. It worked then, but they can just crouch it and punish you. So wouldn't do a whole lot of that. It's not a great, in general, if you knock someone down, you have the advantage. You don't want to do something that opens you up too much. Yeah, so you got kind of punished for that knockdown, for that lariat again. Now you're playing kind of patient, and that's great, right? Like you're being much more conservative in what you're doing. You know, you're not putting out there and taking a ton of risks. You're gradually pushing DiCaprio back, like past the halfway point. You're making progress. The problem is that you're being patient when you have a little bit, like about half DiCaprio's life, and that's not a great place to be. In general, Geef is a character which, like, you kind of got to stay even. If you let them build up a huge lead, it can be hard to come back. And part of that is because if you're being patient and you're being a good Geef, but you're down 50%, they can just wait you out and be super patient, and it's on you to do something. You have to make something happen, right? So this pattern is good. It's just how you should have started out the round, right? You should have felt out the opponent and seen what they're up to. Yeah, now you're doing a lot more jumping in into footsies, and like, again, it's not the best, right? It's much scarier, like as someone who hates playing against Geef, it's much scarier when they're being patient and walking than when they're hopping all over the place. Because I can beat hopping all over the place. It's not that hard. But when they're being patient and they're like just, you know, kind of casually whiffing stuff or whatever, that's when I'm scared. Woo! Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you closed out with 2 running bear grabs and a lariat. I would not recommend that. It's not, like, it worked, but it won't work against people better than this. And that's your goal, right? Is to be beating people who are better than this. So right there, I mentioned it earlier, but that was kind of, it's hilarious. I do this sometimes too, where like I jump in and I expect that they're going to block the jump in. So I prep a throw, but then the jump in hits for whatever reason, and I whiff my throw and I whiff it and I look like an asshole, and then I eat a combo. That didn't really happen to you so much here, but in general, I'd suggest if you're going to have one string in your mind, you want it to be something that kind of works on hit or block, right? So something like the body splash, right? Jumping in there and then like jab into SPD is better, right? Because if they block it, you'll probably still get the SPD and you'll be fine.
Which one of these two will inherit?
I just want to point out you've been whiffing a whole ton of lariats, and for the most part you haven't got punished for them. That's fine. I feel like your lariats have come out roughly 50-50. Like half the time you win it, half the time your opponent punishes you for it, and that's not great. Like if you're gonna win a match, you probably want to you probably need to do a little bit better than getting beaten out of your lariat half the time. The other thing is you should be using both lariats, because that mixes it up for your opponent and makes it a little bit more confusing for them. Alright, so you lariat through the Ultra, and it's actually kind of hilarious. Hilarious. But it wasn't great. You probably would have been better off blocking the Ultra, or just jumping over it at the very edge of the screen over here, or something, instead of going through. Like, you're kind of lucky that it traded.
No doubt about it. I'm almost ready to call this one. Battle of endurance. Last one standing.
So it's great. It's great that you landed that Ultra, but let's rewind that a little bit.
No doubt
Right
about
here. Don't.
it. I'm almost ready to call this one.
So the reason that Ultra worked was because you were like, what, like a couple pixels, yeah. You were a couple pixels from getting hit out of, or getting hit by that dive kick, right? If we want to look at that one more time, that, right? There's that dive kick like a couple frames earlier, which probably should have hit you. But instead, neither of you touched each other, and so you landed next to each other, both in clean, like, like no hits, no flipping out animations or anything, and then you get the Ultra, which is great. I'm happy for you that you got the Ultra, but I don't think you did that intentionally. I think, and that's certainly not very easily repeatable, right? So not a bad thing overall to be thinking, oh man, if my opponent is jumping around a whole bunch and he ends up grounded near me, go for the Ultra. But like, I certainly wouldn't count on it. And what that could have looked like instead is just you get dive kicked and then you lost the round, right? Which is no good. So that was pretty much the end of the match. I will go ahead and switch back to the full camera. And yeah, so in contrast to the Chun-Li replay we just watched, this is definitely less polished, right? And this is where I think watching like top players really helps. You can, I would say, if you want to watch, if you want to play Zangief, go ahead and just watch all the Snake Eyes footage you can. Just Google Snake Eyes and Ultra Street Fighter 4 and just watch all of it, right? And you like take notes if you want, but you almost don't even have to. Right? You don't have to take notes about this. What you want is you want to look at a great Geef player like Snake Eyes and just try and absorb like the pattern, right? So when I mentioned earlier about the Chun-Li player that we watched, you could tell that Scrub Lee kind of had the rough idea of how to play Chun. In other words, she knows what a good Chun player looks like, right? Like she knows roughly what ranges you're in. She knows that the basic idea is to kind of mix up the range with your fast walk speed and then basically poke at them to get a lead and to control space, right? So she's doing that. And there's some things that she was messing up on, but roughly she had the idea. Your Zangief, by comparison, is significantly less polished, right? You don't have a whole lot in the way of a combo game. And frankly, it's pretty clear that you haven't watched or that you haven't really studied a whole lot of good Geef play, right? Like good Geef players tend to act like a wall. They don't give up much. They also don't take that much. They're very patient, and they kind of gradually push their opponent into a bad space on the screen, which forces them to start making mistakes. When they do, then you punish them. And yeah, you can create opportunities, but it's not just about creating opportunities. What you'll find is that the style of Geef play that you've been doing is something which is going to fall off super heavy once people start figuring out your patterns, once they figure out which moves you like to use. It won't be that hard to pick you apart, and it'll be hard for you to improve. So the number one thing that I'd recommend is like the next time that you want to play Street Fighter, chill out on playing and actually sit down and just watch a lot of Snake Eyes videos and just take notes about whatever comes to mind. Or don't. Just watch them. Watch them for like an hour. You might fall asleep, right? But you'll fall asleep with the sound of a good Geef player playing in your headphones or on the speakers or whatever. And you kind of got to do that, right? You want to see what this character looks like. And you might not necessarily be a high level enough player to be able to pick apart the specific things that Snake Eyes is doing. But what I want you to do is I want you to develop your understanding of kind of what a good Geef player looks like, where the space that they occupy on the screen, the buttons they're pressing, and when they're doing them. When do they get the grabs? When do they get the lariats? When do you look at them and see, oh man, they're getting blown up? And when do you see them winning, right? Pay attention to that. And what I think you'll find is that the more that you do it, the more you'll start subconsciously adapting a lot of that stuff to yourself, right? So you can look at specific setups or whatever, but you actually don't have to do that yet. I think you can just get a lot out of watching, basically trying to imprint the image of Snake Eyes or any other good Zangief player. You can look at Itabashi Zangief or whoever, right? Watch this stuff and then just close your eyes and try and imitate it as best you can. Right, so that when you play a match and you should be able to play a match and think, I don't think Snake Eyes would have done that, right? Or maybe that's maybe you hit like a sweet like standing medium chop or whatever, and you're like, oh man, I've seen that in videos. I know it's really useful, right? That's the kind of stuff that I recommend for you. Don't get hung up in the specifics. Just be able to close your eyes and think about what a great Zangief player looks like. All right, we will move on to the last replay that we have for today. And this is, we are switching over from Street Fighter 4 to Rising Thunder. This comes from, I want to say Arima is how you pronounce it. And he is the Talos player playing against Super Omega OP's Dauntless. So this is a longer set. So we'll probably just go through each individual game as best we can, and just like let them play, and then go through and do a little bit less commentary, but still some commentary.
Fight!
Son of a bitch, I did it again. LOL. Sorry about that. And all right, cool. So just to note, thanks Sanchez, I'm hella good. I would happily do a stream that's just me reacting to stuff if that was what you guys wanted to watch. Whatever brings in that max CPM, baby. I don't think we've seen it at this part in the game, but basically the Talos that we're looking at is using kinetic deflect, and then the special 1-2, special 2-2, which are the armored versions of the grabs, not the charge versions, and then Spartan Rush for special 3.
Get ready! Fight!
You got a risky boot early on. Super Omega OP is just kind of going in. YouTube upscaled it so it looks better. Talos is kind of getting blown up in the footsies right now. Not a great kinetic deflect. You land the boot and that's good, but then no conversion, and you missed the Spartan Rush, so you're kind of on autopilot there. Wake up grab's alright. Not a great punish of that DP. And then another miss grab. Okay. And then losing to Cold Drill in the neutral again.
Let's do that again.
Let's do that again.
Back on the horse! Here we go! Fight!
Oof. Lot of long Cold Drills in neutral that you're eating. That's 3 in a row, and then a bad grab, and then a bad kinetic. And the punish is... You could have done better than Ultra. Another Cold Drill in neutral. Hey, you're just kind of letting him get away with those. Special 3's hard to punish. Oof. Another special 3. Oof. Alright, well you burned 2 KDs super fast, that's good. And then you got the dunk. Oh, and no punish off the DP, that's rough. Oh! Alright, so that was the first match. We can go through that again real quick. So, right off the bat, Talos versus Dauntless is kind of a tricky matchup for Talos at the moment. Dauntless has a lot of damage. She can get it off an overhead, a crouch medium, a crouch jab into a dragon punch, or a throw, right? And obviously jump ins too, right? So she's got a lot of damage potential. She also has pretty good footsies, and so it's not an easy matchup by any means. However, it's worth pointing out that Super Omega OP, the Dauntless player, picked Kinetic Deflect in this matchup, which is kind of, it's not optimal for Dauntless by any means. She gets a lot from Kinetic Advance. And it's especially not optimal against Talos, because with Talos, a lot of his damage comes off of not long combos, but off of a few hits or a grab, and neither of those are that easy to use Kinetic Deflect against, right? So Super Omega OP is actually leaving a lot of utility and damage on the table by picking Kinetic Deflect, which means that you don't need to respect his Dragon Punches as much, because he can't get more damage off of them, and if you block him, he can't use KA to keep him safe. Or his throws, right? Because without Kinetic Advance, you don't get a conversion off a throw into a combo. So with that in mind, let's review that first match. So right over there, going for the boot in footsies is a tough thing if you don't know their patterns yet, right? And the boot is a high risk, high reward move, because basically, if they block it or if you whiff it, then they can hurt you pretty badly, and that's exactly what happens, right? Not the worst thing, right? You in this case, you ate a crouch medium into cold drill, so not a whole lot of damage there, but still, that's a big bet, right? When you go for a boot, you're kind of going for a level 1 focus attack almost, and it's not the best thing in the world to do. I like using the boot and footsies, especially against Dauntless. I think you can't help it, but you need to learn their patterns first. And I think you probably do this a little bit later in the video, from what I recall. But early on, you want to be as conservative as possible, right? Especially because online Rising Thunder play, you play 2 out of 3 matches, so you have a long time to try and download their reactions. And early on, I think you should be pretty conservative in stuff like this. That is a super hard read. Also, watch out. So if Dauntless picks Cold Drill, on hit or block, you'll often see that target combo, the MH there. And that beats a lot of stuff. You get hit by it a lot later. So keep blocking. Yeah, so that's one special 3. Could have blocked that, and then you got hit by the MH target combo, which is even worse. Just in general, Talos' armored grab is not a great wake up. It's not bad, but you're almost always better off blocking, especially since he can't convert off a throw for more damage. Yeah, that Kinetic Deflect there was not worth it at all. For one, you only got 1 stock, so it wasn't like you had extra KD to burn, and he wasn't even hitting those jabs, so don't do that. You get a good boot there, and you don't convert, right? It's tricky. I know that if you're going for stand medium into a conversion off the boot, depending on the range or on where you are on the screen, you'll either get the close stand medium, which is probably what you're expecting, or the far stand medium, which you can't combo off afterward. I like to use back medium or crouch medium instead, because you don't have that problem with range then. Instead, you go ahead and you go into Spartan Rush, which is the combo that would have worked if you had hit the stand medium you wanted to hit. But then you do the other half of the second part of Spartan Rush, which is the unsafe part, and then you eat shit. And you ate another S3, which is not great. Yeah. That right there. So by now you've done 3 wake-up grabs, and they haven't been great. But this particular wake-up grab, like you hit some of them, and that's okay. I don't consider it that reliable. I also don't like that wake-up grab that much in general, or that grab much in general. I prefer the variant one. But note that you did a wake-up grab when he was pretty much at a third of screen distance. So the only way you're grabbing something is if he does some just you grab some regular poke, like a stand H or something, and you're super psychic. And even then, I don't even know if that would work. So don't do that. Yeah, look at that. You grabbed so far away that his crouch medium to punish didn't actually hit, and he had to hit cold drill instead. And that's another thing. You got hit by a lot of cold drills in neutral.
Get up. Let's do that again.
Back on the horse. Here we go. Fight.
Alright. So there he ate your boot with a cold drill. There he ate your medium with a cold drill. There he just cold drilled you, and then you did another grab, and then you wasted KD. Like, pretty much all of that was kind of no bueno. But then this part is rough too, right? So like, eating cold drill and neutral, that sucks, but you can deal with it. And one way is actually like at most ranges, I think boot will beat it unless they hold on to cold drill for super long. Anyway, like the cold drill in neutral is beatable. You can jump and you'll usually beat a cleaner trade. You can poke before the armor starts. There are things that you can do, right? But this right here is you had the perfect opportunity to go for some big damage, right? So he whiffs. You have up from the super freeze, right? I guess it's not really a freeze, but here, at this point, you know, oh, I'm blocking, I ain't do shit, so I'm gonna get some free damage. And what do? Overdrive. So, from a damage perspective, not the worst, but you had a free shot to do meterless damage, and that's way more important, because the overdrive, you can hit without a combo, right? It's actually pretty easy to hit his overdrive. Clap clap boot into anything would have done about the same amount of damage. Alright, so you didn't really have to kinetic deflect there either, because again, he's not getting extra damage off that throw. So the only damage that you're saving yourself from is like the 20 or 30 damage that happens when you land, or from that last hit. Right? Not a whole lot, not worth it. Instead, what I would have done is I would have eaten the throw knockdown, stayed in the corner, and if he got another clean hit, that's when you KD. You got a boot? Alright, so you got the KD out, that's worth it. Got another KD out, that's great. Got a wake up grab. That is killer right there. I mean, you missed you should have won the round there, and after that, yeah. But that's tough. Like, you know, we all drop that stuff on occasion. You probably weren't expecting the DP, you know, sometimes, and so you weren't ready to punish. You should have at least been able to be ready to get a sweep or something. Sweeps are actually, I think Talos, his crouch H is one of his only real tools against Dauntless when it comes to footsies, and so I'd recommend you use that. Certainly use it more often than you would the boot. Second thing is, I forget, whatever. I'll rewind real quick. Not the win animation. Oh, so you let a lot of his S3, I think it's the Vandal hook, or the revolving hook, one of the whatever the S3.2 is. At least I think that's 2. You let a lot of those go, and for the first match, that's okay. You kind of got to figure out how often he's going to use them and when. But like the one thing I want to make sense is that, or I want to make sure you know, is that when he's using those, you need to be trying to find the pattern, right? Maybe the pattern is, oh, his cold drill is on cooldown, and so he wants another way of getting in. Or maybe the pattern is, oh, whenever he's close and he's made me block something, that's when he's going to do it. But you need to be ready for that. You need to be thinking about it, so when he does it, you can punish him for it.
You lose.
Come on. Get some.
Get some!
Get ready.
Alright, going into game 2.
Fight.
Approach. Alright, so you ate 2 throws there, and that's not the worst thing in the world, right? You only lost like maybe 20% of your health. That's not bad at all. And then you get a grab out of it, so it ends up being even, which is pretty cool. Also, this is a good use of Spartan Rush, right? You comboed it off of a jab, and you should definitely do that. In general, I haven't been seeing you use Spartan Rush at all, right? I actually forgot that you had it for most of that first match, because I think you only used it once, and that was when you got punished. Spartan Rush is incredible. If you're not using it like all the fucking time, you're not really using it. You're not getting the most that you can out of that slot. And basically, when you pick Spartan Rush, what you're getting is a knockdown off jab, a neutral tool that moves you in close so that you can start working your other stuff. And it works in the air too, so that you have air mobility as well. But I don't see you doing a whole lot of that at all. If you're not going to use Spartan Rush a lot more, and just use it to get in, use it in footsies, use it whatever. Like it kind of lets you cheat footsies a little bit because you can just press a button and immediately get in. But if you're not comfortable doing that, then switch to one of the other variants that gives you a lot more mix-up potential, because that's what you're leaving on the table when you take Spartan Rush. Another wake-up grab. So at this point, you're kind of 50-50 with the wake-up grabs. Nice anti-air, though. That was good. Nice stand H to punish. It's not the biggest punish, but you got something out of it. And you're not getting hit by the target combos as much. Woo! That was a good punishing the S3. Nice grab. Yeah, and that's exactly why you want the overdrive, why you kind of want that chambered, right? Is because it's a tool that you can use like when they're pressuring you. It's a tool that they can use when you're kind of playing the up close neutral game, right? It's a tool that you can use in setups. So don't use it when you have a clear punish. You're still eating a lot of cold drills in neutral, so I'd recommend just like trying it out in training mode and seeing how you can beat it. That was another bad grab. So you're kind of reacting. It seems pretty clear that you don't really have a plan for when you're using your grabs, and it's more of a mood, right? You're thinking like, I'm feeling pressured, so I'm going to grab. Or I think he's going to attack, so I'm going to grab. And that's basically a hard read, right? So you tech the grab there. Like, yeah, he's right here. You might have been trying to grab him out of an S3 if that's what you saw coming, but really for grabs you want to be able to set them up. You don't want to use them too much in neutral, because the way his command grab is, or his special grab it works, you're not going to get that many neutral opportunities for it unless you're using the charge one. The charge one you can get away with a lot of stupid shit, but with this one, Nice sweep. Got anti-aired, but that's okay. You want to check your jump in timings a little bit, right? Because like the anti-air that he picked, I think it's piston charge, I want to say it's called. But you get that knockdown, you jump over. Like this takes a while to come out. It's slower than Dustbreaker, so there's a lot more opportunity to safe jump it. But you didn't really, and so you got hit. Or you might have landed and tried to do something. It's hard for me to tell. Nice. Alright, so you finally punish that S3. That's a great punish. You block the target combo. That's good. Nice. Beat another S3. Grab doesn't work out, but that's okay. You have KD. Like, that's actually kind of important, right? If we rewind a little bit. So you missed that grab. Let's go ahead and go just a little bit further back. So he jumps in, knockdown. So you want to just walk up, grab, and he jumps out, and that happens, right? That's reasonable, you know. It's important to notice though that that's a risk you took, right? So it's if he jumped, which he did, that leaves you open to a punish. But since you have kinetic deflect, you're able to take those risks, and that's totally okay. So when you think of like of what you get out of kinetic deflect, some of it is once you have that deflect in the chamber, you're able to take risks a little bit more, and that's pretty cool. All right, nice jump H, but you didn't follow it up with anything, man. Woo! Yeah, and that sucks, but that happens, right? Dauntless's crouch medium is really good. You have to respect it.